Greetings and welcome back to another episode of Controllers and Couches. I am one half of the duo, FullMetalChicken.
And I'm Steph.
And we are Controllers and Couches. So, in case you're wondering, this is our 39th episode. For all those who've listened to the other 38.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so for all the others who've listened to one, congratulations. This is the first. So, we've... Just recently, we've nearly hit 500 views on Podbean. So, yeah, that was quite interesting.
We released our Heaven's Gate episode yesterday afternoon, and we got more downloads in 20 minutes than our average episode gets in a week.
Yeah, that was interesting to see. So, thanks very much for that.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. We are very, very appreciative of you.
So, any news updates?
Welcome to day 15, 14, 13? 13. 14.
14.
From the chamber.
Yeah. Not the Chamber of Secrets, no.
No.
I've literally just... Yeah, I don't know when I'm going to get a break.
Well, thank God your work has re-agreed that Good Friday is indeed...
Closed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I get a day off this Friday.
Wow. Paid a day off too.
Absolutely. But essentially, let's see. I have been playing lots of Modern Warfare. But we have...
Here we go.
Here we go. We've realised that I'm shit at levelling up. Because Stephfafahh has played...
You're not bitter about this at all.
It's only taken me like how many months to get where I am at the moment.
Alright, okay. So continue what you were saying.
So playing has literally played for like 4 days.
And not consistently across 4 days. Maybe an hour and a half a day.
Hour and a half here, hour and a half there, and is already, over level 50. Like I'm like...
Not level 50 yet. I think I'm only 47.
Well, close to it. No, 49.
No, that can't be right.
Yeah, you're 49.
That can't be right.
I'm pretty sure he's 49.
I don't think so.
Yep. 49.
Well, how long does it take you to go from a level to a level? Can you stop sweeping things? Because that annoys the microphone. Thank you.
So, yeah.
How long does it take you to go from a level to a level?
Well, yesterday...
Stop swiping and you continue swiping.
Yesterday I played like an hour and a half... No, I played like 5 hours. And I got an hour and a... Well, 1.5 levels. Which is really shit. So, the difference being is maybe I should just go play hardcore like you do. Because, yeah, terribly, terribly bad at the moment. I did unlock the Season 2 pass, though.
Well, in my defense, I'm level 48, thank you very much.
Well, that's close to 50.
Yeah, whatever. In my defense, I didn't start playing. My friend messaged from uni. He messaged me on... Was it Thursday night or Friday night? I honestly can't remember. But he said, oh, hey, do you have the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare? And I said, I could be tempted to reinstall it.
Yep.
So I reinstalled it. And then we played the next day. I said, oh, look, it's telling me it's going to take 16 hours to install. And then he said, okay, no worries. Let me know when and I'll add you into my lobby. And then it took 24 hours and I messaged him the next day and I said, oh, by the way, it just finished. And then he said, fantastic. I was literally going to ask you to jump in. So I jumped in and I played, and he plays hardcore because he's really into it and stuff. And so they're all about the challenges and unlocking camos and whatnot. And I'm just there to play objective, to be honest. If I unlock a challenge, that's great, but I'm not too fussed about it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I'm just there to fuck shit up.
True.
And so I think that's why also I level up quicker, is just because I don't take it as seriously as you. Like, you think you're enlisting in the army and you think it's an actual test.
I get really, really into it. Just stupidly into it. It's like a case of I'll be objective, but the problem is I get really critical over the little things, which is why I switched over and was playing Doom. Like, you're watching me playing Doom, and I was just...
Well, I don't know if you're going to like hardcore mode then, because hardcore mode is literally I'm the only person below level 155.
Yeah.
I'm the only person who's not... And I made a joke yesterday. I'm like, oh my God, everyone's a 5-star general but me.
See,
I'm just... At this point, I was like, I think a 44. And I'm just lowly level 44. And then everyone, even who wasn't in there... Because it's different.
Yeah.
Everyone can hear everyone in chat if you're on the same team and when you're in the lobby screen. Whereas before, if you were in a lobby... Sorry, group chat, like a party... only the party can hear the party. And... You can hear everyone else, but you can mute them. But now everyone can hear everyone. And so we were just talking smack, and then this other guy was laughing at us, and I'm like, oh, shit, they can hear us? And he's like, yeah, I can hear you. And so I made a random friend because I cracked a joke saying, oh my God, everyone else is like a 5-star general. And
Nice.
I'm like this lowly 43, and then everyone laughed. But it was funny.
which is good.
But like I said, hardcore's really fucking shit. So I don't... No, it's shit in that you're not going to get much.
I've played a few hardcore lobbies in the sense that, you know, playing Rust and playing, you know, top third of the tier, like in the 10v10.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But
you don't play hardcore. You grind hardcore.
Yeah.
That's what it's there for. And it sucks. Like, you will win 5 games straight and then you'll lose 6 games straight. But the XP you get from it is phenomenal.
Yeah. And see, that's the thing, because I've noticed I can churn out more kills and stuff for camo in the easier mode. Yeah. So I'll just spam shipment with a shotgun and I'll go through and get like 80 kills.
Well, I'm an objective player, so I'm not so much worried about... I prefer like hardpoint, domination. I'm really good at headquarters. Yeah, see, and that kind of thing.
Headquarters is frustrating when no one else is helping. Like when you're capturing, defending, I'm like, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. People play these game modes because, especially during double XP weekends, like what we've currently have, because it's just people are going to get so much XP from it. And a lot of people switch to hardcore because, again, you're going to get more XP, just not weapons, but general experience points. And so, like, there is a lot of that. And we had this one guy yesterday, and he was just killing the team because he wanted to, like... So I would 3/4 cap the flag, and then he would rocket me. And then he would get that last quarter of the flag and not realise I would still get points for capping because I did the majority of the work.
In hardcore, you get penalised for team killing.
But you get to kill 2 people without being docked for it.
Yeah.
And then after you kill 2 friendlies, the damage you do to a friendly is your damage.
Oh, joy. Yeah, I'd kind of get a little...
And then so we went on, like, I just said, like, can you please not... We're on your team and... Like, I can just shoot you as easily as you shot me, and I can report you for unsportsmanlike behaviour.
Does that stuff actually work, though?
No, because people like you spam it.
Yeah, I spam it, alright. Let's see. Like, last week, I think I reported someone like 300 times. I literally went mental. But, obviously, they were a PC Master Race, and they were hiding in a forklift in the actual...
You have no chance if it's a PC player.
Yeah, actually no.
That's the thing.
I ended up in a PC lobby and I came first.
Well, good for you, but in my experience, especially in Hardpoint, you got no chance. And we ended up... I've played one... Oh, shit, what's it called? It's like... It's like 10v10. What's that game type called?
Mosh Pit?
Is it Mosh Pit? Oh, I thought it had some other... I'm an idiot. I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on it. But we ended up getting into one of those lobbies because the person I was playing with, one of their friends, wanted to play that game type because they were grinding for camos. It was the first time I've ever played it. And like, oh, have you ever played this before? And I was like, nope. And then they pissed themselves laughing.
Jeez.
But it was a PC lobby. Like PS and PC lobby. Half of the enemy team was PC. We were lagging like there was no big problem, like it was nothing. And the person, like, not my friend, but my friend's other friend, they have NBN, and they were lagging.
Yeah.
with 45 down. And then I was just like, oh, I'm lucky if I get 7 on a good day, but I'm not going to say that. And literally, I could see my friends and my teammates zipping across the map as they spawned. That's how, like, so they would die, and their body would, like, teleport, not teleport, but be dragged to a spawn point. That's how laggy it was.
It's funny. I just saw this. I'm 14. You can hear my parents getting a divorce in the background. Starter pack screams every time they die. What? How? 7.25 shotgun, riot shield, claymore. In caption, MAGA or Trump. And
How many people have the clan name Trump?
Oh, I don't get it.
They're idiots.
But then there's also the one where me, after seeing the 90,000 Modern Warfare player called COVID-19, I'm just.
Oh, I've got some other good news. After nearly 7 years, I finally changed my name. What is it called? Your gamer tag for Xbox. So I'm officially, it's not my full Stephfafahh, it's one H short, but I'm pretty sure is it 07 or 7? What's my new gamer tag? I can't remember.
Stephfafahh 07.
Yeah, but it's 1H.
Yeah.
After the second fa instead of 2. But whatever. That was fun. And I didn't have to pay for it because you get one region. Hashtag thanks Xbox. And that's it. Alright, do you have anything else you want to talk about before we hit the quiz up? Anything else you want to talk about?
I haven't read
anything. Do you
anything.
want to talk about the quiz and then go, or do you want to talk about COVID-19 now?
No, we can talk about COVID.
Oh, before we get in, if you have specific timestamps for stuff you're after, or if you want to get into the main topic, timestamps will be in the description.
Yeah, descriptiones. Because I think, honestly, I was thinking of actually doing a COVID-19 piece, like an actual talk, but
you mean like an episode?
I have to actually type
research,
something
and
instead
you don't
of...
want to do that?
I'm this... Think of me as like a little, 14-year-old, Christmas Day, must level up and shoot and swear at the TV as much as physically possible.
So what you're saying is you need some Adderall.
I don't need Adderall. What I need is half a bottle of scotch.
Oh.
And maybe, a mission to Botswana or something.
No, fair enough.
So.
But seriously, you can't tell me it takes you 2 hours to get one level up.
Do you hear the crickets?
No, I'm serious. It's a game and a half for me, and I'm the next level.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I was on shipment.
But are you playing objective?
Okay. Yes.
But are you proper playing
yes.
objective?
Proper objective, like Overwatch.
See, that's your problem. See, that's it. What I found is if you're jumping into objective games and you're just like, oh, I'm here for the objectives, but I'm also predominantly here to fuck shit up, and you kill people, that's how you get more XP than playing the objective.
Yeah. Well, you saw me running shipment the other day, and you saw me get like 60 kills with and spamming the hell out of it, and it was, I
reckon hardpoint is kind of like, because you don't know where the enemy is sometimes,
no.
And so it's very, the spawns are shit.
They are
and
shit.
And you get pinned down
and seriously,
very easily.
if you run shipment on hardcore and you run down the middle...
Oh, I've done it.
And you just
you just spammed. You're literally spawning into flares, spawning into thermite, spawning into... Like, the enemy is shooting a friendly behind you, and you spawn in between them.
I mean, I had a funny one playing Rust, where there was a guy hiding in the middle of the map up top, and he had a sniper rifle.
And he's just pinging off.
I was hiding down the bottom behind I think it was a barricade with the, was it the Origin 12? And I ended up getting him. I heard by about the 8th hit marker, I was like, gotcha! And then obviously he called in an airstrike on me, so,
Who really won?
Who really won? Obviously,
you may have won the battle, but you lost the war.
And then I encountered him the same time, and I think I made a friend. He just didn't add me.
Did you stop sweeping?
Sweeping. It's what I do. It's how I sweep the battlefield with my skill. Okay, I heard that person say, haha, bullshit. I agree totally with you. If you can't enjoy doing something well, enjoy doing it poorly, and I enjoy doing it very poorly. I'm so
So when you watch me play, do you kind of go, oh...
No, it's more a case of I sit there and go, oh, fuck you, It's like I'm sitting there watching
But
it.
I'm not good.
Better than me.
I play objective well. I carry when I play objective, though.
Well, you remember that time we were playing, I think it was Black Ops 3, and I was camping the flag, and I was camping so well, in fact, I was facing the wrong direction. I remember that. I was good at that. I did that well. We won, because I was capping the wrong flag.
Anyway.
Yes.
Quiz time?
Quiz
or
time.
COVID-19 time?
Let's see, COVID-19 time. Well, obviously, people are starting to get a little bit apprehensive about going outside all of a sudden now.
And people are worried about when... So there are two camps. There are people who have no medical respect or knowledge and don't understand public health emergency. And then there are people who are just like, yeah, I'm going to stay home forever how long I need to and only send one person out like it's the Hunger Games.
What it is, it's The Last of Us. Quarantine edition.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that when I walk outside now, the neighbours cross the street. They see me and they cross the street.
I haven't seen any neighbours out.
I know. But when I see them, they cross the street. They don't go anywhere near me.
I would just have like next door coming and going, his normal stuff, and when he's walking the dogs and stuff, because he takes them out to go walking.
Yeah. That says hello.
Apart from that, like, you know the dude who's at the top of the street with his mad motorbike and his Kingswood?
Yep.
I haven't heard him in 2 weeks.
I mean, I went out today just to grab something, which was necessity. As they say, necessity alone makes you go out and venture alone. But I went in there and it was like ghost town. I could have had 2 Colt 45s and
God.
like a little Akubra and literally walked in and it would have been something out of a saloon gun shoot kind of, you know. But it was the only thing that made me kind of go, do you have shit for brains? Was there was a lady there with a little table trying to take donations for the Cancer Foundation. Now, I don't know about you, but 1, that is not essential. 2, why are you out trying to take donations? 3, which I already said, 3, there's no point, there's no people. Why?
Because some of them are not volunteers, and like, you still have to donate to other areas of research.
Yeah.
Like the MS home lottery is happening right now. So if anyone's interested, go buy yourself a ticket.
Yeah, buy yourself a ticket.
But I'm not saying don't donate, but I'm saying stay the fuck home. Also, how is as someone who loves Kmart, I don't always shop from there, but I go in every now and again to have a look. Why is Kmart an essential service?
Because I think with what's going on, there are some things you just can't close. Because if you close, people will riot. And like you said, people need to buy food. People need to buy, I don't know, faux plants. Because faux plants apparently help you fight cancer, supposedly.
Stupid.
You know, I don't know. Thank you for all the benzoyaldehydes. Thank you very much. How's your toluene? I don't know. Fuck COVID. I'm more worried about the amount of toluene you get in the library.
Is anyone actually shopping Easter though?
Yes. Alcohol. Lots of it.
Yeah, no, I don't mean just alcohol. I mean like chocolate, eggs,
No.
Easter
People,
eggs,
like,
buns.
honestly, from seeing what's going on at the moment, it is a disruption into the normal buying pattern. Like, people are more obsessed with toilet paper.
Apparently now everyone's getting more obsessed with cake mixes.
Yeah.
Because they've got the
Yeast.
kids at home, and so all they want to do is bake to
Everyone-
give their kids activities.
Yeah, people want to make Play-Doh. People are getting yeast to make bread, make your own bread.
Oh, everyone, look up Irish soda bread.
Yeah, easy.
Alright, let's do today's quiz.
Yes.
Alrighty, hoity-toity then.
Okay, so your coffee order will reveal your personality. If this comes up with Modern Warfare Crybaby, I'm going to be like really,
Sounds
really
like kind of
hilarious.
game.
Okay, so what size coffee would you like? Small, medium, large, a really big one. I'm going to go for...
Lurge.
Yeah, I'm going to go large.
Wow, that voice dropped.
Large.
What kind of coffee do you want? Hot coffee, iced coffee, cold brew, something else? I'm going to go iced.
See, because I've been drinking a lot of cold brew lately,
Well,
which is kind of iced coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, if it's got ice in it, served at a cold temperature. So a cold brew is like you make it hot and then you chill it.
Yeah.
Whereas iced is
Yeah.
predominantly
Sugar. What kind of milk? No milk, dairy milk, oat milk, other milk.
dairy.
Yeah, dairy. Honestly, for the people out there who said soy milk.
That's a new TikTok trend at the moment.
Yeah.
The guys are scared of developing moves.
Yeah. You adding a flavour? No.
That's a real question, isn't it?
Yeah, you adding a flavour, and it's American, of course. No, vanilla, caramel, mocha.
I'm gonna go caramel.
But this is where they've got the dumb. This is where they've got the dumb. Are you adding a flavour? Mocha. It's chocolate. You add chocolate to coffee.
Yeah, but it's a coffee type.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm going to go no.
Okay. You adding sugar? No. Regular sugar, simple syrup, or other sweetener? 9 for me.
9. Then we have what kind of cup? Well, obviously one you can put a liquid into. You have a mug, a to-go cup, brought my own travel mug, martini glass. What is this? AA?
The martini is espresso martini, darling.
Oh, okay. I'm
going to go.
I'm going to go mug.
Are you having a snack too? No. Cookie, croissant, brownie. None of these things I would normally have with a coffee. That would generally be breakfast. So I'm just going to say no.
Do I go cookie?
Okay, go cookie.
Okay, I'm going to go cookie. Interesting.
Oh, here we go.
I got quiet, but deadly.
Are you kidding? Because we selected different things.
I know! I'm quiet, but deadly.
What flavour did you go for? Normal?
Let's see, what flavour? I went for... No.
But we did different things.
Yeah.
Oh,
so, you've been called quiet so people underestimate you, but you're hardworking, smart, and you surprise people because you're always killing it behind the scenes. I'm not quiet. I'm far from quiet. I get told to shut up on a secondly basis.
Yeah, that's when people really know you. But when people don't know you, you're generally quiet. But then you're also really extroverted and you always want to chat with people.
Yeah, but I can also be like super introverted, which is a case of you need to put down. No. Why are you? You can take the scope off the crowbar. No, put it away.
What are you talking
Half-Life.
about?
Okay, here's the other thing. Just quickly on the topic of coffee, why is it that all these people?
Can you stop knocking?
All these people are complaining about trilogies and sequels and quadrilogies and whatever.
Because if you're just stretching out a story to make more money, you're absolute scum.
Yeah, but
don't just put out 4 books because.
I sense Disney here.
No, what you sense is a lot of why trilogies, quadrilogies, and pentologies.
What I sense is a brownie croissant. At that moment, the air freshener actually literally.
It's not an air freshener.
I know,
it's the mosquito repellent.
It's a bullshit
thing.
detector. It detected my bullshit. It was like, be away.
Look, you'd laugh.
Yeah,
but
I do laugh.
Since we purchased that, how many flies have you seen in this area of the house?
Yeah, but that being said, how many submarines have we seen in the house? See?
If you know, submarine is bigger than the block that this house sits on.
True, but what happens if there is in fact a submarine in the basement?
We don't have a basement.
Not that we know of.
We don't have a basement.
But I want a submarine.
But you're not part of the Navy.
No, I could be, outside the Navy, but still have
if
a submarine.
If you want a submarine, go to the toilet.
No, but then I could fill it with croissants.
Again, go to the toilet.
And fill it with croissants. Imagine that. Hello. Oui, this is my toilet croissant.
Okay, I'm cutting you off now.
That is a royal flush.
Okay, we're getting into today's main topic. Anything else you want to add before you ramble?
Let's see. Season 3 of Warzone. Essentially, new operators. One of them is actually a retired Green Beret. Well, if you look at it.
Can you stop shaking the table?
But I'm baking. So, yeah. Anyways.
Anything else?
No, that was Pretty much it. Also, too, we bought some Ceylon tea a while ago in a bag from Coles. I don't recommend it. It's yeah.
Well, to be fair, wasn't it like $7 for 2 kilos of tea leaves?
Yeah, I wonder why.
And you were like, oh yeah, this is such good saving and we're going into quarantine, so I'm going to need this.
Yeah, literally.
And then I said, are you for certain this is an excellent requirement? And you said, yes, it's a necessity. So we put this
no one else was buying it.
$7 2 kilo bag of tea leaves in the shopping trolley. I had to, like, because of the whole, I think we got it, over a month ago.
Uh-huh.
And I cut the bag open and I put it into 2 containers.
Like a chainsaw.
No, with scissors.
With a chainsaw.
And you don't use it. You don't drink it. So every day I make you a pot of tea with this.
I'm now being force-fed Coles Ceylon tea.
It's not Ceylon. It's just general tea leaves.
Well, it sounds better than saying, Pakistani field tea.
It wasn't Pakistani field tea.
No, sorry, Sri Lankan. It says Sri Lankan field tea.
You wanted me to make you another pot of it?
No, pass. But literally on the packet it says Sri Lankan field tea. So essentially what you take from that is tea taken from a field from Sri Lanka. That's it.
I don't think that's what it says.
No, I'm pretty sure it says Sri Lanka. I'm not having a go. For all those people out there thinking that I'm having a go at Sri Lankan tea companies, I'm not. On the bag it pretty much said Sri Lankan tea.
Sure, I nearly
yeah, you did. And that background is the sound of the tea. Guess, I'm pretty sure that's what it says.
Oh, shit, you were right.
Yeah.
Royal Fields Pure Ceylon Tea, packed in Sri Lanka.
There you go.
STD.
Yeah.
10176 OPA net weight. Oh, it's 500 grams. Sorry, not 2 kilos. Imported by Bass Foods Australia.
There you go. Done.
Website www.bassfoods.com.au. Packed and shipped by Imperial Tea Exports Proprietary Limited.
There we go.
Packed in Sri Lanka with local ingredients. Best before October 2022.
Oh, geez, you're going to be pushing that.
Well, look, I make you one pot of this every minute.
I know, right?
It's...
We're about halfway through.
No, you wish you were halfway through. You're not even a third of the way through.
I know, right?
You're what, 1/10?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But I specifically told you not to get it.
But I got it.
You were like, oh no, we're going into quarantine. We don't know if we're ever going to be able to get necessities like tea. And because, you were Great Depressioning it in London.
Oh, absolutely.
In the early 1900s. So we needed to hoard tea. Alrighty. Now you're done. Can we get into the main topic? Or do you have other ramblings of madman?
Rambling Madman. Ooh, I like that. That's what I should have called myself. I could have called myself DJ Rambling Madman. Imagine that. DJ, what you say? Woot, woot. Yeah.
Okay.
Congratulations on the 5
So
subscribers.
before we get into this week's topic,
yes. What?
Are you alright?
Yeah, I'm just rambling of a madman.
Are you done or are you good?
I'm good and done.
Can you stop shaking the table?
I can't help it.
Super glue your hands to your thighs.
Well, that'd do the trick.
Alright. So today we're going to be talking about missing Macin Smith. When he went missing, he was 17 years old and weighed approximately 200 pounds. Missing from St. George, Utah in the US since the 1st of September 2015. He is a white blonde male with blue eyes and stands 6'4". His family desperately wants him home safely, so anyone having any information should call 1-800-843-5678 or the St. George City Police Department at 1435-627-4300. If you head over to Facebook, you can also find the Masons Army page that's dedicated to not only finding him, but other teens that are missing, that the webpage showcases. Secondly, this episode it's not meant to minimise the pain and the loss that followed the events of what we're pretty much going to cover today. We mean no disrespect to the family or to Macin himself. We're just covering a story because I think it's important to learn from things like that. And also, I guess I should plug Crime Stoppers. So if you have any information regarding to any criminal activity, or if you just want to report something that doesn't feel right, please contact Crime Stoppers. It's all anonymous unless you request to be identified, and you can do that at crimestoppers.com.au or by calling 1-800-333-000. And it's an independent non-for-profit organisation that's part of a global network, and if you find yourself able to donate, please do. Some other disclaimers that there is, again, trigger warning for today's episode. We will unfortunately have to mention suicide. And again, just like the contact links that we spoke about last week, if you or someone you know needs help or crisis support, please contact in Australia Lifeline at 13 11 14 or at lifeline.org.au. In America, please contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline on 1-800-273-8255 or at suicidepreventionlifeline.org. In Mexico, please call 52 59 81 21 or access saptal.org.au, or if you're in the UK, there is a support line service at 01 708 765 200. Okie doke, so basic bio. I wanted to do this episode specifically this week because tomorrow is Machin's birthday and he will be turning 22. So when he disappeared, like I said, Macin was 17 years old and he disappeared on the 1st of September in 2015 after he failed to show up for school. There's a lot of ins and outs that we're going to get up through and talk about later, so bear with me. But most importantly, what's something that you would take with you if you decided you wanted to run away?
A phone, your wallet, I don't know, birth certificate, money,
Macin had none of those things.
clothes,
Just the clothes on his back.
a backpack,
Didn't take that either.
shoes.
What he was wearing. So he left behind his phone, his wallet, his laptop, and he hasn't been heard from since that morning. There have been multiple sightings of Macin. More recently, the most recent one I should say was in January 2017 in Sacramento, California. We've already said that he's described as 6'4" tall. He weighs approximately 200 pounds. He's got short blonde hair and light blue eyes. So basically, the main references I have for you today are pretty much if there's any journal article, if there is, when I say journal article, I mean like, sorry, I should say news article. If there's any like YouTube video, I watched all of that. I also watched the Disappeared episode, the documentary. So I tried to get the most up-to-date information as well that I'll talk about later. But I'm going to start from the beginning. So Macin and his family, being his mum and his dad, recently moved into St. George, Utah. His family said that he was a typical teen until he decided to test his parents' limits, but their punishment and their rules kind of triggered their worst nightmare. He left his cash, his ID cards, and literally, like we said, just had the clothes on his back. But he left a hidden cryptic message that, it wasn't a letter because it wasn't addressed to anyone. It was more like a note, but he did leave it behind. It wasn't anywhere obviously lying out for someone to find it and to read it, but it's never been released to the authorities, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. No one really actually knows what happened. It's just believed that he walked out of the door. Apparently on Monday the 31st of August 2015, so the day before he goes missing, Macin texts his mum on the way home from school. And 2 weeks into the semester, he already had almost all A's. So for language arts 12, he had an A- at 90. For basic academy skills, I don't think they released that grade for him yet. For biology, he had an A94. They hadn't released his choir concert grade yet. For history 1.0, he had an A at 98. And college prep math, which is really fucking hard, he got an A93. So Tracy is his mother and Darren is his dad. Tracy said that he's a smart boy and he picks up on things super quick. His objective wasn't really to brag sending his mum his marks, but it was more so to fulfill his end of the bargain because he had an agreement with his parents where if he kept his grades up to A's and B's and if he stayed up to date on all of his assignments, they would let him watch anime during the week. So that was the deal because he was really into video games and anime. So his mum texts back saying, "Wow, looking good, Macin. Have dad take you driving first." So if you're not in the know about anime, it's described as adult cartoons in the documentary, but the plots of these series are very intricate. from what I've seen, they're very emotionally driven and are very dramatic and intense. Like you're talking about revenge or people passing away and you avenging them, and I don't know, like, what's your experience with anime? You watch a lot more than I do.
It depends on what, genre. I'm into the more sort of mecha. Like, so
You watch Castlevania, that's not mecha.
No, it's not. So, based on the game, of course. So, anything to do with samurai, obviously they're really violent, but a lot of these things hyper violent. But it's more the animation style. Some of them are really, really, articulate. And sorry, that's not the correct word. Artistic, yeah. So, things like ninjas and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, everyone's been watching Naruto, and yeah. But,
and One Piece.
One Piece. Transformers is one way to step out from it.
Robotech, you're a massive fan of.
Massive fan of Robotech. But see, even when I started watching it, I didn't know it was anime.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's alright. So you're not giving me the answer I wanted, but never mind.
Violent. Colourful, violent.
So, however, despite his achievement, his parents decided to give him something else to do first. So, he and his parents lived in the picturesque town of St. George in Utah, which is near the borders of Utah, Arizona, and Nevada. And just for our purposes, I put an image from Google Maps in here, right? So you've kind of got St. George in the middle above Grand Canyon National Monument Park up there. And Vegas is a little bit down towards the left there. So the city has approximately 80,000 residents and was described as a tourist mecca. Macin was the youngest out of 6 kids, 3 boys and 3 girls. He was described as being coddled and babied, and he was taken care of by his older siblings. Tracy says that all of his older siblings' first words were dad, but Mason's were mum. Was mum, I should say. He was a mummy's boy, and there are so many pictures of the two of them, and they just look absolutely gorgeous and happy together, and you can tell how close they really were. So he was described as being the last one in the nest because he was the only one out of all the kids that still lived with their parents. Mason's family had only recently moved from Canada, and in the beginning he wasn't really sure if he wanted to go, and on top of, I guess, the stress of having such a big move, it was literally right before his senior year, which is our equivalent of year 12. So you just finished year 11, and in your final year, just before your final year starts, your parents are like, not only are we moving houses, but we're moving countries.
Yeah.
So that would be a big deal. So that means that he'd have to make new friends and leave his old ones behind. His older siblings had already gone in their own directions, so he didn't commonly reach out to them or anyone else. But if his siblings contacted him, he would respond, but he wasn't really instigative in terms of conversation and connecting. He's described as being very shy. So the big push to them from them moving from Canada to Utah was that he and his mum were dealing with a lot of depressive symptoms, and they wanted to move to a place that had more sun, and they thought that this town would be the best. So he and his mum actually moved first, and they moved over in April of 2015 because his dad was working out of the area on some construction projects, and Tracy says the two of them just ruled the place. She began a new job as a clinical director, and he started summer school because apparently all of his high school credits didn't transfer from Canada, so he had to do some making up, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But Tracy says that they absolutely loved their downtime together. They would often go to Pioneer Park, which apparently has a fantastic lookout of the valley in which they lived. And she says, look, this is the happiest our family has ever seen him. He said that he loved the school, he loved the environment, and he always said that people were so kind there. Then they say, look, at 6'4", 200 pounds, he could be an imposing figure when he was approached, but his mum says that, look, he was delightful, but he was a quiet and gentle giant.
Yep.
He had a deep-seated sensitivity from his youth That's not my words, that's what his family said. Apparently he once struggled with childhood aphasia, which is a language disorder that affects one's ability to communicate. And because he had a delay in his speech development, this caused him to throw tantrums, because obviously you can understand if people aren't understanding you, that's going to make you stressed out, that's going to make you upset because you just want to convey something.
Yep.
But you just can't get it out and they're not understanding what it is you're trying to say. So when you have that communication barrier, I can understand how that would be hard.
Absolutely.
So one of his sisters that was closest in age to Macin, she and Macin, they were very close. And she was able to understand what he was trying to say. So she would sort of bridge that gap in communication and kind of translate what he was trying to say. So as he grew up, he obviously went through speech therapy. He was able to learn how to speak. But his family was still able to recognize the traits in his voice, even though he was admittedly a lot clearer. Apparently, kids in school are absolute arseholes, which is no news to anyone.
No.
And so that made him a target for bullies.
Yeah, rightly so.
Which
is sad.
Yeah. So he ends up telling his mum that he was pretty much being picked on every day at school in junior high, and that was affecting his self-confidence. But he also was trying to get into music. He had dreams of becoming a rock star. Apparently, he really loved music. And personally, I think we hear stories all the time of a lot of people saying that music is very therapeutic. Not that you can really diagnose someone to take up music, but they do say, find a creative outlet. And a lot of people turn to music. So... yeah, I don't know. He would spend a lot of time writing lyrics, singing them out to himself, strumming himself along. Since he was little, though, he absolutely loved video games. Apparently he was very good at them, which I can't relate. As he got older, he got more and more into anime. His parents say that he became addicted and watched it in every spare moment. So it's not that his plan after texting his mum was like, hey, look at my grades, I've done so super well. It was pretty much just to say, look, I've done what you've asked me to do. I want to come home and I want to have a marathon session.
Yeah.
When he texted his mum his grades. So when all this is going down, on the 31st of August, his dad, Darren, had just come home 3 days early from Salt Lake City. And his dad kind of moving in and coming home was a really big change for Macin. And his dad was very much trying to turn Macin into a man, which is kind of like a dad's job. But I think the way he went about it with Macin was very not the way Macin would respond. And so he kept saying, you need to be social, you need to get a job, you need to be very self-reliable, I want you to go out there and get your license to drive. And apparently he being Macin, was dragging his feet on getting his driver's license. So his dad was really pushing him to take lessons and clock up those hours. And he would say to his mum, look, I don't feel confident. And then Tracy would say, look, the only way to develop confidence is to get behind the wheel, is to drive, is to get those hours. That's the only way you're going to get confidence. So his dad says, look, we got to go driving. And Macin says, I'm sorry, I have a headache. And he tries to get out of driving, and he and his dad reschedule for the next day. So Tracy ends up getting home that night on 31st of August at approximately 8 p.m. She walks into his room and the lights are pretty much off. The room was dark. He was in bed. And she leans against his bedside table and asks him what was going on. He said, look, Ma, I don't really feel well. She told him to get better soon. She kissed him on the forehead and pretty much just left him to it. But before she goes to bed herself, she unplugs the internet router. So he wouldn't be tempted to stay up all night on the internet watching anime or playing video games. So apparently summer had just ended. So he had a lot more freedom during summer where he could stay up past 10 p.m. But during the school week, his family were very strict and enforced a 10 p.m. electronic curfew, which I think is kind of a good idea. I don't know. Like, I didn't have to have that because I didn't have the internet at home and we weren't really big into electronics, I guess, in 2010. But I can see how it would be a big deal now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm not saying that curfews aren't important, but I'm saying that it's not something I had to deal with. Does that make sense? So that was part of her normal routine. So she would normally take the router, unplug the cord and stash it somewhere. But because she was just so tired from work that day, and in hindsight she says, look, I think it was a bit lazy of me to not follow my normal procedure. She just unplugged the router and left it there, like left the cord there.
Yeah.
And then at 1:30 a.m. on the 1st of September, Mason's dad Darren hears some noises in the house. And so he gets up and he sees some blue light coming underneath Mason's door. And so he opens the door, sees Mason watching anime on his computer. And Darren takes not only Mason's laptop, but his phone too. And a lot of people retrospectively has asked Darren, did this kind of lead to any altercation? Did Mason say something to you? Was he short with you? Was he upset? And Darren says, no, Mason had no reaction to it. He just handed over his devices and whatever, went on about his life. So Darren takes both the phone and the laptop to his room and puts them on his bedside table and says, yeah, look, he did plug the router back in and he was watching anime, but he and Tracy end up going back to bed. So at 7 a.m. later that morning, the family start their normal routine. Darren goes and knocks on Mason's door and asks if he's woken up yet, and then goes back to bed. A little while later at 7:30, Tracy and Darren hear Mason getting ready in the kitchen. And then at 7:40 a.m, they hear the garage door close, and that's part of Mason's standard routine because he has to generally walk 2 minutes down the road to catch his bus at the corner, and both his parents assume that that's where he had headed. I would like to point out that at this stage, he doesn't have his phone and he doesn't have his laptop.
Yeah, so he's got nothing.
Right? I don't know about you, but I would think that my mother would have given me my phone because I was going to school.
Something's not right.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, even though they've confiscated it because I was an idiot, not that I'm saying Mason was an idiot, but if I was being an idiot all night and I was up on my phone, my mum would take it and she'd be like, I need you to call me when you get to uni or when you get to school.
Yeah.
Right? So that's my experience, but Mason's gone to school without his phone.
Yeah.
But neither of them actually physically saw Mason, so they have literally no idea what happened to him after he left that garage door. So some time ticks by, Tracy leaves for work, Darren was still at home. He ended up going to the gym and he spent most of the day working in the backyard. So he was hanging around the house because Mason was going to have a driving lesson that they rescheduled for that afternoon after he finished school. So like clockwork, at 3:15 the school bus drops off the kids at the corner and Mason doesn't get off. And then Darren waits till about 3:30 and then he realises that he has no way of contacting Mason because he's got both his laptop and his phone on his bedside table from earlier in the morning. So Darren texts Tracy while she's at work and says, look, Mason didn't get off the bus. Mason hasn't come home. And then Tracy goes, you know what, maybe after we'd confiscated his devices, he's just blowing off some steam. She checks her email while she's at work and she notices that she has one from Mason's school saying that he didn't even show in that day for roll call. And she says, look, if he didn't go to school, maybe he didn't even get on the bus. So at this point I did some calculations and you go from 8 to 3, like 8 a.m. to 3 p.m, right? That's 7 hours.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but you can literally get across the New South Wales and the South Australian border in 7 hours.
Yep.
Which are, the far side being the South Oz or the top side being New South. You can get pretty fucking far on 7 hours of a head start, in my opinion. So Tracy heads home straight away. She can't think of any places that Mason might be hiding out in. They try to open his bedroom door when she gets home from work, but they find that it's locked, and that's very different because he has never locked his bedroom door before. So they somehow end up breaking into his room, and when they opened it, nothing looked out of place. Everything looks normal, and they think, oh, it's a Tuesday afternoon. Sometimes Macin would go to the after-school church group meetings, and they think maybe he went there. And then they call the church, and the church say, sorry, we haven't seen Macin. So they wait until his 10 p.m. curfew to see if he's going to come home. And 10 p.m. comes and goes, and he did not make curfew. So this is when the family goes, you know what, he's actually run away.
Yeah.
And then at 10 p.m. they finally decide to contact the police. And at that point, it's been over 12 hours since anyone has heard Macin, because the last time they heard Macin was at 7:30 when he's rummaging around the kitchen, and they haven't seen him since 1 a.m. that morning, which is 9 hours.
Poof, gone.
Right? So you literally, again, like I said, you could be anywhere. And then so an officer from the police department obviously has to come to your house to fill out this report. And he said, I'll drive around and I'll keep my eyes open. And Tracy really thought that the police would find him, whether it be walking around or on a bench or whatever. And at this point, I think it's worth recognising whether we're dealing with a pattern of behaviour or not. I'm not saying that this should detract away from finding Macin, but it's worth noting that Macin had actually run away before. And we know that when you're taking these reports, it's considered more serious, unfortunately, if the person has never had a history of running away.
Yeah.
So if I went missing and you call the police and said, oh, she hasn't come home from uni today, I haven't seen her in 12 hours, the police would say, well, she's an adult, but is this normal behaviour for her? Does she go off the radar for 12 hours without telling you? And then you would obviously say no, like she's never gone missing, she's never had an unexplained absence. And then they would say, okay, it's, this is serious. Yep. Whereas if you had said, yeah, she kind of drifts off every now and again and she disappears for a couple of days at a time, they'd say, well, how do you know she's not doing that again? And unfortunately, I think that affected Macin's case.
Yeah.
So basically he was like, his family said that he was angry because he felt like his parents were taking away his rights by taking away his devices. Apparently so the previous time that he went missing, his family took away his Xbox.
Yeah.
Because again, he was having a really kind of big gaming binge. And his family decided that he wasn't paying attention to school or any of his responsibilities, so they were going to take his Xbox away from him until he kind of reprioritized. And then his sister says, look, he got so angry, he felt like their parents were taking away his rights by taking his Xbox console. And then at 10 p.m. that night, Tracy hears the front door open and close, and then she takes a few moments and she realises, shit, my son has just walked out of the house.
Yeah.
Apparently he took a sleeping bag with him, some food from the kitchen. He had printed some resumes and he was going to make it on his own, get a job and support himself.
Yep.
So now I must ask, they heard rummaging this second time. Was that him raiding some food?
Maybe. Right?
Maybe he had a sleeping bag stashed.
Yeah.
We don't know. Maybe he had stuff printed out and was going to go make it on his own. We don't know. But when he first ran away, it was in the middle of December. And I'm not from Canada, but I can just imagine how bloody freezing cold it is, especially at 10 p.m. in the middle of December in Canada.
Extremely.
And realistically, from what I can imagine, people aren't supposed to be outside when it's that cold for that long because you could literally die. And so Macin felt the same, and in Canada he returned home under his own free will after a few hours. But the time between his first runaway attempt and this time that he went missing was 2 years. So it wasn't like repetitive behaviour where he's run away, they've moved to Utah, and then he's decided a month in, let's bail.
Yep.
So his mum says that he was not a confrontational or combative person. He was more silent and brooding, and that he preferred to remove himself from the situation. And then so the day that he goes missing comes and goes, and then it's the 2nd of September.
Yep.
Tracy decides, you know what, I think his absence is temporary. He is going to come back. So I'm going to go to high school, and she had to pay for his graduation gown and tassel.
Yep.
and I'm not here to say that this is true or not, but in the spirit of discussing everything that I read about the case, there were a lot of people online, specifically on Reddit, who saw this as suspicious behaviour and saw it as a cover-up. I'm not here to point fingers at the family. I'm just telling you what I read. There is no way that I can substantiate those things. It's just some shit I saw on the internet.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, I can it kind of falls into two categories for me. A cover-up, or second, she can say, look, Macin, you have to come home because I've paid for everything. Like, it's another reason for him to come home. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. So I look at it and I kind of go, okay, he's probably gone somewhere where he can just watch anime constantly.
Yeah.
That's the addiction. So he's gone somewhere that has anime, and that's all he's doing. What's to say he's not working in an anime shop?
Well, from what I've read online, and I can't substantiate it because I didn't see any news reports or anything, but a lot of conventions that were in the area, and a lot of stores printed pictures of Macin, kept an eye out for Macin.
So they felt he was being tracked.
If there was a convention, they had a booth that was like, help, if you see Macin, help find Macin.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. So they did look, again, I can't substantiate those things. I just read them again on the internet.
Yep.
But from what I can tell, if that's true, it happened.
Yeah.
So she waits around for him, and day 2, he never comes home. And then she decides to go back into his room, and that's when she discovers that his school binder, which she would have needed to take to school, was on the floor in his closet. And then this leads the investigators to believe that he had hidden it underneath some clothes to make it look like he had taken it with him, that maybe he was trying to hide that he wasn't going to school that day.
Yeah.
And then kind of more alarming here is she finds his wallet in his room. And so in my mind, if someone doesn't take that, they're not planning on being gone for long at all. Or they have an alternative.
Yeah.
Because you need cash, you need your ID, you need your wallet if you're planning on going somewhere, would be my thought. But again, I don't know.
Yep.
So this is where Tracy kind of realises that Macin left the house with, like we said before, just the clothes on his back. It doesn't look like he packed a bag. Everything in his closet kind of looks accounted for in her eyes.
Yep.
So Tracy reaches out to his other siblings and their extended family to update them and let them know that Macin has gone missing, and to pretty much just keep an eye out for him. Maybe he's gone to a sibling's house, a relative's house, so he's still with family, but it's a breakaway from his parents. And then his sister was surprised because she knew that even though up in Canada he was depressed, it seemed like he was turning a corner. Meanwhile, the police are still patrolling the neighbourhood. They're still not finding any trace of Macin. And then the police department decided, look, we want to ramp up the case, so we're going to start interviewing the parents. And then the whole problem with the family dynamics kind of came to light here. They were a bit more concerned with the fact that he didn't take his devices, so his phone, his laptop. No teenager is going to leave their Xbox behind.
No.
Like, it's one of your most expensive belongings.
Yeah.
That's my opinion, but the red flag started popping up for the detective because he thought that Macin would have been able to leave a digital footprint behind. And in modern day forensics cases and missing people's cases, your digital footprint is very heavily relied upon, You're going to see where your cell phone pinged from and narrow it down to an arc like we did with Tanya Ryder.
Yeah.
Or we're going to GPS track you, or we're going to follow your accounts to see if you're making exchange, if you're making purchases or taking money out, and any activity on any kind of account. He had a Facebook page, but he wasn't very active on there. He didn't reach out to friends or any members of his family since he disappeared. His mum, Tracy, tries to do a bit of investigating herself, and she calls the bus depot and asks if the bus driver, essentially, if he even got on the bus. She contacts the other kids, and everyone says he wasn't on the bus on the 1st of September 2015. And so the detectives really commended her for being so involved.
Yep.
And we find out in the documentary that the area that they live in is very quiet. So it's very residential. The only traffic is the people that live there.
Yeah.
Or the tradesmen coming to serve the people who live there. So you're only driving around if you only need to be there, right? It's not like it's a main thoroughfare or anything like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of homes being constructed in the area at the time, and if you walk outside the boundaries of the town, you essentially hit the desert.
Yeah.
So, over the coming days, his family, siblings, and other family members end up coming to town, and they decide to really ramp up the hunt for Macin. They print out posters, they distribute them everywhere, and their hope is that someone may have seen him. The family also reach out to the Mormon church community because they are apparently extremely supportive. Everyone in the family is Mormon, i.e. a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints, except for Darren, who is agnostic. And apparently this is a very united church. It's very neighbourly. And they organised a lot of search parties for the family. And then tips started coming in because of all the posters everywhere. And people were saying that they saw someone of Macin's description holding a sign saying Las Vegas. So that leads you to believe that this person is trying to hitch a ride to Vegas. The person was reported being about 5 miles from the family home on an exit ramp to Interstate 15. Apparently 3 people saw this boy and reported it. And this obviously would ignite a lot of hope for the family. And what we find out is that this highway connects Vegas to Salt Lake. And from where they live, it's 2 hours to Vegas and 4 hours to Salt Lake. So it's a corridor. Which way did he go, kind of thing. And then so on both sides of this intersection are numerous gas stations. So his family, and I was very interested that his family contacted the stations, not the police. But his family contacted his family contacted the gas stations and asked if they captured any footage of Macin on their security feeds. And so while they're waiting for the gas stations to get back to them with the footage, another tip comes in and someone says, I think I've seen Macin, or at least someone fitting Macin's description, in Vegas. And so the family kind of add the 2 tips together, someone that looks like Macin at the gas station, someone that looks like Macin in Vegas, and then go, well, he might be in Vegas.
Might be, but when in doubt, go to Vegas.
Well, you've been to Vegas, so,
Big sandbox.
These 2 sightings correlated to their family, and they said, you know what, maybe that's where he's headed. So Darren decides to hop in his car, and he makes the 120-mile or 193-kilometre trip himself and starts walking the streets of Vegas. Are you looking at anything in particular?
No, just...
Okay. So, what I found out is in Vegas there's this group called the Red Rock Search and Rescue Volunteer Group. And they had already, without the family knowing, distributing flyers for Macin. And so Darren, didn't know about that, but they're all patrolling the streets and whatnot. Darren doesn't end up finding Macin. And just looking at pictures, watching movies, I can only imagine how big the city is. I know it's a massive tourist spot, and it would be so hard, even though he's so tall, it'd be so hard finding him amongst so many people. You've been to Vegas. What does it look like? I don't know.
It's just
huge.
Casinos and,
I can imagine hordes of people just going everywhere.
It's pretty damn crazy.
So Tracy decided that she was going to stay at home while Darren was in Vegas because she wanted to be there in case he came home. One of his sisters tracked down his passwords, and then they said, you know what, we'll see if he hinted at anything, what his search history was like, what he was doing. So they've run up his YouTube browsing history, and apparently he had deleted data up until 12:30 a.m. on the morning that he went missing. So an hour before his dad woke up and confiscated his devices.
Yeah.
They didn't find anything on his phone, and the only thing that they could find is the fact that he texted his mother. He hardly touched his Facebook account. He actually made a post on the 1st of May in 2015 that I found saying, who needs friends when you've got Xbox and Netflix?
Oh, jeez.
And then eventually... Sorry?
Ominous much?
I know. And then the devices eventually got taken by the police. So it is possible that he may have hidden usage on his phone or other devices, but the police say that they don't really think that he used them to communicate with people. Like, he just watched movies, played his games, watched his anime, and that's all he used those devices for.
Yeah.
And then eventually the family they get back the security footage from the gas stations, and the family find out that the mysterious hitchhiker was not Macin, but another teenage boy that looked very similar to Macin in description. And then 6 days later, I don't know what possessed her, but Tracy started going through Macin's things again. And this time, instead of just touching his wallet, she went through his wallet.
Yeah.
And then she found a note. It was folded numerous times, and she knew right away essentially what it was. Apparently, it was very emotionally deep. It was 2 pages long. It was handwritten. It wasn't dated, and it wasn't addressed to anyone, so it's not like it was a letter.
Yeah.
The detective in charge said that you could tell that it was written from the pits of his stomach. It was very personal, and the letter has never been released to the public.
Yeah.
They've only released 2 words, and that's "I'm done."
Yeah.
So his mum thought that this meant that he was done living, and that he was in so much pain that he wanted to, unfortunately, take his own life.
Which is really sad.
However, the St. George Police Department say that the note wasn't left out. It wasn't left out to be intentionally found. So that means that it's most likely looking like he wasn't looking to follow through.
Yeah.
After Darren took his devices, it's thought that that's when he wrote the letter. So his dad takes his shit. It's 1:30. He gets out a note.
So essentially, you could look at it and go, okay, well, you've taken my Xbox, you've taken my anime. Fine then, okay.
Yeah. And then so they describe what they feel like he was saying in the letter, but they never actually released the contents of the letter. So basically what they said was he voiced how he felt about his devices being taken away and the empty promises of his parents. And the detective says, look, this probably took him the most of the night to write because it was so gut-wrenching. He apparently described his inner turmoil. He expressed how he felt like he wasn't a good person. And no 17-year-old person should believe that they're not good. And then he said, look, I want those devices... Well, apparently they're insinuating that he said in this note that he needed his devices to take him out of being in his own head, and by taking them away, he felt really broken and lost. Apparently depression was a really big factor in his life, and we are, again, not here to judge.
Yep.
Apparently 2 years after... So, 2 years earlier, when the family still lived in Canada, he was going through a lot... How dare you honk?
Yes.
He was going through a lot of pain, and he admitted to his mum that he had tried to take his life. And so that resulted in him being hospitalised for about a week because he had suicidal thoughts and tendencies. His mother thought that the move had helped him, but this note really made it apparent to her that he was still in deep emotional turmoil and distress, and no one should have to go through that.
No.
So the police start to think, given all of this history, where would he go to follow through? The family say, look, we don't have guns in the home. No one has any pills, prescription or otherwise. And then what I didn't know is both statistically and psychologically, when a person tries or decides to commit suicide, they tend to do it within a mile radius of their place of residence because they want to do it in an area that they feel safe.
Yeah.
So the police found that there's a 30-foot cliff edge near the home, but they didn't find any trace of him there. And then another week rolls by. Any tips that have further come in have been ruled out. And then a neighbour, her name's Sandy Lyman, she was driving past their house because next door to them is where she drops off her daughter for dance lessons every Tuesday afternoon at around 3:15 p.m. And so she drives past the Smith family home, drops her daughter off for the dance lessons next door, and then she has to turn at the other end of the street and get back to drive past the Smith family home, if that makes sense. You go up one end of the street, you drop someone off, but then you kind of reverse and go back the other way. And so she sees Macin walking and she drives past him. So they're anti-parallel lines, right? And they essentially run into each other. And she has interacted with a Mason at church functions before, and so she knows what Mason looks like. She's very adamant that it was Mason walking away from his home. So this changes the whole timeline.
Yeah.
If he was in fact in the neighbourhood that afternoon, this means that 8 hours after he disappeared, where his mother heard him leave the garage, he was still in the area. He was still nearby. And then maybe he wasn't impulsive. Like, if he was going to, I don't want to say off himself, but if he was looking to follow through, he would have done it straight away. But the fact that it was 7 hours later suggests that something, held him back, and it wasn't on impulse.
Yeah.
So 3 weeks later, volunteers from Red Rock Search and Rescue in Vegas converge onto the outskirts of St. George, Utah, in the desert outlier areas. And they searched for 2 days. They had 6 horses, 6 cadaver dogs. They conducted the largest, the widest wilderness search for Mason that has ever been done to date. In case, he did head into the desert. They estimate that they covered 30 or 40 square miles. And in our language, that's 78 to 104 kilometres square. His family were very grateful, but still no trace of him. And then the family decides to open the Help Find Mason Smith Facebook page. And now with all this extra publicity, the family is being asked some tough questions, including, had he been suffering from anything else? And then people shit on the internet, and then so they started circulating rumours about Mason's sexuality, saying that he was gay. And then Tracy says, it doesn't matter. We love him regardless. Him being gay, like, how's that going to help us find him? Mm-mm. If it's going to help us, tell us where to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's not going to... Talking rumours on the internet isn't going to help them find their son. And she says that there was no indication that she saw that Mason could be gay, but even if he was, it wouldn't matter. And that's... If anyone's opinion counts in Mason's life, it's his mother's.
Absolutely.
Because they had that bond there. And then 5 months later, people started insinuating that Darren, his dad, had something to do with his son's disappearance, and believed that he had killed his son. Now, I want to play this audio clip for you, and then we're going to talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, I actually found out that some people think that I killed my son, and it was it's devastating. I called up the police and I said, look, I want to do everything I can. Come into my house, I'll take a lie detector test just to prove that I'm innocent.
So both Darren and Tracy volunteered to take a polygraph test, and I know we've spoken about it before, but I want to point out again, it's important to kind of restate that polygraphs are not exact.
Yeah.
They're pseudoscience.
Yeah.
They don't always work.
No, they don't.
So, nevertheless, Tracy said that they both passed the polygraph tests, but the St. George Police Department have declined to comment thus far, stating that it's still an active investigation.
Yep.
So, time ticks by. His family's still struggling with the pain of his absence. Apparently in church, Mason and his mum would hold hands to, just connect. And so if there was a passage that made his mum cry that was being told to the congregation, he would hold his mum's hands that way. She felt like he was there. Yeah. And they were super close. Tracy hoped that people were right in speculating that he was away from... so basically, the new thing then was, because he's been away for so long, maybe he's waiting until he turned 18, so that way he'd technically legally be an adult, and then his parents can't tell him what to do. He doesn't have to live under his parents' rules. And then maybe he's going to come back and contact his parents, specifically his mother, right? Yeah. That's what people were speculating. Tracy, when she got wind of that, was like, you know what? I hope that that's the case. And then 7 months after he disappeared, his 18th birthday comes and goes. Apparently, Tracy actually held an event that day to raise awareness about Mason's disappearance. They organised a cake, and he never showed. And he never contacted his parents on the day of his 18th birthday. when his parents and police decided to put up a missing poster, his family put a $10,000 reward. And everyone hoped that would kind of pull people and tips in. And then in late July in 2016, specifically in Salt Lake City, and this is 11 months after his disappearance, a new tip came in. 2 sisters were eating lunch at a Panda Express, and they noticed this guy staring at them from 8 feet away. And then so this guy approached these 2 sisters and asked if they had any change for the bus. And the girls remember this event as being memorable because he was very polite, he was very kind. They gave him all of their change, and he just wanted enough to take the bus, and he gave back the rest.
Yeah.
So in the reenactment, the girl's shoveling, handfuls of coins, and he's like, thank you, just enough for the bus.
Yeah.
So they get home and they tell their mother, and their mother brings up the Mason's Army Help Find Macin Facebook page, and they say that the person did look like Macin that they saw. And they also noticed something unusual in his speech. And so they obviously contacted the people running the Facebook group, and Tracy reaches out to them. And she asks them to listen to Mason's voicemail. You know how you leave a voicemail message on your phone? So that way if someone calls you, you tell them, hey, leave a message after the tone,
Yeah.
And you do that in your voice. They listened to that, and they said it sounded exactly the same as what Macin sounded like.
Yep.
And then the St. George police approached the Panda Express and said, could you please hand over your security footage? But get this, the cameras were not working. What is the point? I feel like in a lot of cases, the security cameras are not working, or they don't have the footage, or it was deleted.
Yep.
What the hell, right? And so the police go, it's okay, we'll look at nearby stores. But I didn't find any information about them finding Macin on any cameras, any security footage on nearby stores, or what, if they could catch this person that looked like Macin. So at this point in the documentary, the lead detective says that she thinks that the only way that this case will get solved is if someone calls in and gives them information. And to the person giving the information, it may seem insignificant, but it could be crucial for Macin's case. Tracy believes that her son is still out there living his life, but his other family members disagree. She apparently paid for his phone bill every month for years. Even though his phone was in evidence, because she feels like the only number that people really know by heart is their own, and she was hoping that even though the phone was locked up in evidence, he would eventually call that number if he wanted to reach out. Yeah. And she felt like, look, that's the only barrier from stopping him from contacting me. If I cancel this phone, that's it. And then apparently a couple of years ago, within a year or so, she just had to let it go.
Yep.
And it was very, very hard for her. It felt like a very final event. His dad, Darren, is in a completely different mindset and says that he thinks they're looking for a body.
Yeah.
His sister says that he can stay away if he wants, but she's still holding on to hope that he will contact them. So more recently, last year was Macin's 21st birthday. And one of the administrators on the Facebook page called for members of the group to write a letter to Macin's mother or to Macin himself. And she said that each year comes and goes and they don't have answers, and it's very, very painful for her to watch his family and close friends. And the quote was, "The heartache and not knowing is unbearable at times. I try to celebrate an anniversary or birthday or advertise searches with as much hype as I can." I also found a very lengthy article that was published by Macin's uncle last year, and I think he's a radio journalist.
Yeah.
So I'm going to quickly skim through that article, if that's okay. And he said, recently search warrants were released to suggest a crime may have occurred in his disappearance, and that his parents, my brother and my sister-in-law, may have been involved in a crime involving their missing son. Throughout the investigation, there have been discrepancies between what Macin's parents, Tracy and Darren Smith, have told the St. George Police Department, Red Rock Search and Rescue, and the media. These discrepancies all point to the fact that Tracy and Darren know more information surrounding Mason's disappearance than they have disclosed, police wrote in an affidavit dated June 21st, 2017. The Deseret News and KSL have collected and reviewed nearly a dozen search warrant affidavits filed by the St. George Police. Several of the warrants state the police are collecting evidence to investigate the crime or crimes of criminal homicide. When a child goes missing, people come out of the woodwork to help. Psychics, people who had their own children missing. There is no handbook, no guidance to follow on what to do when a child vanishes or who to trust. But whatever way you choose to act, you will face incredible scrutiny. And his uncle goes on to say, I've watched enough Law and Order to know that they look into the family first. I don't know what happened to my nephew. I wasn't in the house that night. If I had 2 words to describe my brother and sister-in-law, I would say great father, incredible mother. The investigators were concerned enough about his parents' alleged inconsistent statements that they placed a GPS tracker on Darren's pickup truck to monitor his movements, according to an affidavit. His brother told the police and KSL that he did not know he had been monitored by the police. But he had welcomed the scrutiny because he believed he would clear his name, saying, I've got nothing to hide. Some of the warrants openly raised questions about the actions and statements from Mason's parents, including allegations that they never called detectives for updates about the case, but they didn't participate in searches for their son and made inconsistent statements. There was an organisation, Red Rock Search and Rescue of Las Vegas, that got involved from the beginning. I know because I have first-hand knowledge. They came and took over. Again, you don't know what to do or who to trust. They told Darren and Tracy a couple of things. First, let us be your contact with the police. And his uncle says, I've had several conversations with the head of Red Rock Search and Rescue about contacting the police. In fact, they bad-mouthed the St. George Police Department to me several times. Second, I was there when the organisation said they wanted my brother and sister-in-law to stay home during the initial searches. They were instructed not to go out, Tracy was told. We don't want you to find the body of your son, they said. Let us handle it, they said. We know what we're doing, they said. I was there. I was there in Vegas where my brother and I spent a day and a half combing the strip among thousands and thousands of tourists looking for Macin and came up empty. I was assigned the task of being the liaison between the searchers and my brother and sister-in-law. I would raise my hand over a Bible in a court of law and testify to those facts. I was directly involved. I'm adding my testimony in the court of public opinion. My brother and sister-in-law were told to stay at home and wait for the phone to ring. What they were instructed to do is now part of a news story that has caused the public to doubt their actions. This, for me, is a cautionary tale. So that was a lot of stuff that I didn't know, right? Apparently, when I went to Reddit, and obviously you have to take everything on Reddit with a grain of salt, right? But there was this thing saying that Darren went to the gym. So in the morning, right? They think Mason's gone to school, Tracy's gone to work. Darren went to the gym. And then the time that Darren went to the gym is different to when his ID card at the gym tapped him in.
Yep.
If that makes sense. Like there was an hour and a half gap difference between when he says he went to the gym and when he actually touched on. And then some people reasoned maybe it had to do with like daylight savings or something like that the system wasn't working, but I couldn't find any information about that. I found that Macin had wrote a similar note. This is what people were saying on Reddit, so again, take these with a grain of salt. But apparently, someone said that Macin wrote a similar note when he lived in Canada. Someone said that Utah had the highest rate of teen suicides. And so I looked at the Utah state government statistics, and I found that in 2014, which is the most recent data I could get, Utah youth suicide was 8.5 per 100,000 population. So in 8.5, sorry, can I say that again?
Yep.
In 100,000 kids, 8.5 of them would commit suicide.
Yeah.
And this is kids aged between 10 to 17. And apparently that's the highest rate anywhere in the US.
Jeez.
There was apparently a search warrant that was placed in December 2016, and it said that Macin reportedly left for school. This is where Darren went to check in at the Vasa Fitness at 7:45 a.m, but his bus was scheduled to pick him up at 7:41 a.m, and the Smiths lived about 10 minutes away from the gym, so there was a lot of thing about the time. And then people started speculating that maybe Macin and his dad got into a physical fight when he took away his devices, and something had happened to Macin, and then the family wanted to cover it up. And that, I would say, is very harmful unless there is evidence for that, because his room didn't look like there had been a fight.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Tracy wouldn't have let Darren
No.
touch her son in that manner at all. And she would hear that. You know what I mean? You'd think. Especially if Macin is as tall as he is and as big as he is. Like, you're going to know when a 200-pound person's throwing something around. You're going to know about it.
Yeah.
And then I found that the Smiths, so the parents, divorced in May of 2018 after more than 30 years of marriage. Both have since remarried or are engaged. Tracy lives in Washington County, while Darren lives in Salt Lake County. In September last year, they conducted what they called their last search for Macin, saying that it was time to move on. And apparently, Tracy organised for a park bench to be put in somewhere in St. George with a plaque about Macin on it, so people can sit there. And again, if you have any information about Macin Smith, please contact the St. George Police Department on 435-627-4300. And now I must ask you both, you, good sir, and the listeners at home, what are your theories?
I think he went rogue. I think, obviously, he's depressed, but because of the amount of, I suppose, time he's been away, and there has been sightings, what he's doing, he's a highly intelligent individual.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, essentially, he would have...
He knows what's going on.
He knows what's going on. So, essentially, think about it. His father's come back. More friction has arrived. So, he's moved out. He's just left. He's gone. Okay, yep.
He's just removed himself from the situation.
Removed, like, literally just went, okay, yep, done. Okay, you've caused me harm. I caused you harm. So he's gone off. Essentially what he'd be doing, I reckon, is following up on, what he's addicted to. It's anime. He's addicted to anime. So what he's doing, he's out there, but he's probably met some like-minded individuals, and no
one knows who he is.
No.
That's the point.
No one knows who he is.
He probably, he can... But I don't know how easy is it just to change your name?
Easy.
Even if you don't have a birth certificate?
He's living off the grid. He's watched enough anime
to know how to...
and enough stuff to know how to live off the grid.
You can get cash paid jobs, right?
Yeah,
under the table.
He's young.
He's a smart kid. You don't just get those grades.
Yeah.
And imagine that. You're telling me that kid isn't focusing on school with that credit score, with those grades.
That kid, he could even have gone and got, employed by the government. You think about it.
But I feel like if the government knew, they would say... Because the police would have to... they're not going to waste money. They're not going to waste the searchers' time and volunteer effort and money, right?
FBI
so they would say,
people.
No. But they would say, this person is no longer missing, and off the books they wouldn't say anything about it, but they would close the case.
Potentially, yeah.
That's what would happen. So I don't know. I'm not discounting the fact that he'd be good enough to work at some government organisation.
Yeah.
What do you do? I think it's... Part of me, I want to say he's still out there living his life. But then, he was so close with his mum, I can't see him just writing her off.
Yeah.
Even if he didn't have such a close relationship with his dad.
I think he's just...
Or do you think he's she's moved on, I'd do more... imagine that. You can say, I'm done searching for my son, but you're never going to get that. You're always going to have that loss there. Even if you found out what happened to your child, you're always going to have that in the back of your mind, you know what I mean? I don't know. Or is that just me?
No, I think that's, potentially what's happened. I think, highly intelligent individual gone off the grid. That's what he's doing.
So, yeah, that's this episode for today. I'm sorry that's a bit rare, but I think everyone's just tired. Everyone's just lost. Everyone's just dazed and confused.
Yep.
I hope you enjoyed. Please be sure to let me know your thoughts, theories. If I missed anything, please let us know. If you are looking for the podcast, we actually have a topic request form. So you can go in and submit whatever topic you want us to talk about. It also asks you for your name or social media handle so we can credit you, and your pronouns so we can address you correctly.
Have we actually been getting any requests and comments?
I'll have a look. So we've got Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. You can email us at controllersandcouches@gmail.com. He's FullMetalChicken. I am Stephfafahh, except for an Xbox where I'm Stephfafahh with FAFAH07.
Yeah.
You can add me as a friend. And we can do some grinding on hardcore together.
Yes.
If you want to play objective with me.
And if you don't want to play objective and you just want to scream at things, I'm FullMetalChicken and I'm on the Xbone Live with that. I'm also on PS4 or PSN, but I don't really go on there that much because generally I'm offline playing Witcher.
Oops, I accidentally uninstalled that. Someone actually asked us to cover coronavirus.
Oh, sweet.
As we did the epidemic.
Cool.
But they want us to start a pandemic one.
Okay.
And they didn't put their social media name or handle or their pronouns.
Cool beans.
Joy.
We can do that. I think it's just me mentioning MHC Complex for the last 3 episodes. Probably did it.
Probably. Alrighty. Anything else you want to cover before we wrap it up today? I feel like today's episode flew.
We did fly. And the good thing is this time it didn't fucking crash.
Oh, tell you what, that's beautiful.
So,
Alrighty. That's it from me. You got anything else to add?
No, just may the Call of Duty gods be, nice to me until I have to go to work.
And Mason, call your mother.
Yeah, call your mother. I mean, feel free to call us. We'll call your mother for you. If you have any good animes you want to recommend. You know what you should do? That'd be good. If you want to be a career... Mason recommends. Honestly, no joke aside, if that's what you want to do, at least just let people know
that you're okay.
You're okay. Do what you want, man. Do what you want.
You don't have to tell people where you are. They just want to know that you're okay.
Because every anime has a credit that states and gives, acknowledgement to what's going on. At the end of the day, anime is just anime.
Alright, don't say anime one more time.
Okay.
Thank you so much for listening, everyone. May the force be with you. That's what you say, and also with you. You terrible Catholic. It's Good Friday this week.
I'm doing Vulcan hand signals.
Happy Easter, everyone.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
The next episode we'll be recording is on Easter Monday.
Yeah.
We're ready. I bought everything last... I actually got you to buy everything last week because I wasn't going out there. We got the salmon, we got the asparagus, we got the lemons. We're good to go. I'm roasting that salmon.
The lemons.
May the force be with you.
And also with me.
Live long and prosper.
Yes. And also, just so we know...
Happy Easter.
If
you celebrate.
Yeah, if you do follow Star Trek, tell me, someone comment, I just want to test this out. There's a scene in, I'm not going to say which movie or series, but there's a scene in Star Trek where a character or characters are in a specific moment that is, a little bit quarantiney. So, if you know the name of that episode, comment it.
Do you know the name of the episode?
Yes, I do. So I want to...
Maybe you should do that at the start of the episode, buddy.
Better late than never. But yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, it's I'm not going to say, but it's between two characters.
Don't say anything.
But nothing else. And yeah, comment this. I just want to see if someone's going to comment. Okay, that's it. I'm out. Done. FullMetalChicken. Signing off and on to Modern Warfare. Yes. And on that note, I'm off to screen.
All right, buddy.
Okay, I've been cut off. Thank you for laughing.
Far out.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay. Adios, muchachos. Signing off. Home time. Off to the fridge. Yay! I like trains.